Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I review everything that gets released on Netflix. So if you're ever curious about a new movie, series, or show, if you want to know if it's any good or not, come to my channel and I will let you know. And today we're going to be talking about remarriage and desires. And ultimately it follows a recently widowed wife who is ultimately trying to remarry into the upper echelons of society. She's really trying to, find that bachelor who's just got all the money. And there's a revenge subplot in there as well. There's many layers to the story. And I think what the show does so well is actually just analyze trauma and love and how the two can be so closely linked. But before I break that down, I also just want to talk about the fact that I enjoyed the show a lot more than I thought I would. Usually when it comes to my Korean properties, which I've been loving recently, especially the Netflix Korean properties, but I prefer them when they're a bit more bombastic. Sweet Home is a good example of that, and that's probably my favorite Netflix property to date. But I feel like this show is a lot tamer. I mean, everyone loved Squid Game, and that was also quite an out there idea. The plot to that was quite unique. But this is honestly just, in its simplest terms, a really intimate story that follows an individual as she's dealing with the trauma of losing her husband in quite extreme circumstances, and then also trying to figure out what she wants out of life and how her decisions are impacting her entire family. It's incredibly simple in that regard, but that's actually this show's strength. The show does a great job of just looking at trauma, looking at love, and seeing how the two are linked. Ultimately, her husband cheated on her and then committed suicide because the woman that he cheated on her with, she ultimately said that he raped her. So there's all of these negative allegations being thrown at him, and he thinks it's just easier to protect his family if he just kills himself, which is incredibly rough. But we're left with this family, and especially we look at the wife, how she processes all of this, because even though things weren't great in a relationship point of view, I mean, he was unfaithful and he ultimately betrayed her, she never stopped loving him. And how then does she go about processing this trauma of losing her husband, or of losing this man that she loved, despite the fact that he was unfaithful? That is a topic that I just find incredibly interesting. The show also does a good job of actually just basically putting marriage on a pedestal and ultimately looking at it from a different point of view, from different classes and from different societies. I mean, I recently got married, I think just about 3 months ago, and it's been one of the greatest experiences of my life. I love my wife with all my heart. But then you see how people approach marriage in regards to the show, where they see marriage as a business, they see it as a contract, they see it as a way to make money. And it's just crazy, because that's the least of the things I was looking for when I got married. I was just looking for the most amazing person in the world. So that was also really interesting to just watch and dissect, is how is this show depicting different classes and different societies and their appreciation of marriage. Because the truth of the matter is, if you go to different communities, you go to different countries, everyone kind of views marriage and the roles of marriage differently. So being able to see it from a South Korean point of view was also really exciting and interesting. Again, the production value of the show is incredibly high. The Korean properties on Netflix have always been some of the highest production in regards to quality. On Netflix as a whole, to be 100% honest, the production quality is so high. We got some great performances, some great actors, and the editing, the set design, the music used, everything was top tier. I loved the theme of the show, or rather the aesthetic setting of the show. In many ways, it kind of felt a little bit Great Gatsby-ish, especially with the larger than life elements of the show, especially when it comes to the ball and the characters wearing masks, and then the end credits, like the fonts they use and everything like that. All of it ties into this larger than life, elegant theme. So yeah, to sum up this review, the show is incredibly well made, but it feels quite different to the rest of the Korean Netflix properties we've been getting recently. I mean, the closest I can kind of think it is the Money Heist Korean show that came out, because even though that was more of an action-based show, it felt a lot more subdued and based in reality in comparison to the rest of the Netflix properties that I've been consuming recently. But guys, thank you so much for watching this review. It really does mean the world to me. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and do not be afraid to subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you guys again in another review.